The anti-Israel demonstrations quickly spreading from colleges on the East Coast through the Midwest as far as Texas and onto California. Protests and encampments are descending into full-on clashes with police. And now those protesters who might actually face some consequences are demanding amnesty. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Emily Campagno, here with my co-hosts, Kayleigh McEnany and Harris Faulkner. And also joining us today, Fox News contributor Lisa Booth and Fox News contributor and former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz. Now, there have been growing calls for crackdowns on the anti-Israel protests at campuses across the country. We're now learning that University of Georgia police and Georgia State Patrol troopers have arrested multiple demonstrators during an anti-Israel protest at the Athens campus just a short time ago. There have reportedly been nearly 900 arrests at protests across the country so far. And now Columbia is giving students camped out on the campus a deadline. They say 2 p.m. Eastern today is the deadline for them to leave or face suspension. Final exams, financial aid, and even graduation are now on the line. But those righteous students and professors taking part in the anti-Israel demonstrations are demanding that the school grant them amnesty. They don't want their arrests and suspensions to follow them after college. Jason, to me, it doesn't matter what they want or demand. I don't think hostages' wants or demands were, frankly, taken into consideration when they were butchered and taken hostage by Hamas. And certainly those who identify with Hamas then shouldn't receive any type of amnesty from school administrators for them having a tantrum on campus and sympathizing with terrorists.
Yeah, punks, welcome to the real world. Welcome to being an adult and personal responsibility. They're going to have to live up to the consequences of their actions. All 900 plus of these people who broke the law should be prosecuted. If you broke the school rules, you should probably be expelled because you're talking about killing other people. Is there any more hateful speech than that? So, yeah, they got to hold them accountable. Amnesty? Are you kidding me? Look, it is as American as it gets to protest, but you have to do so peacefully. And when you call for the death and destruction of others, including your classmates, then guess what? There's a real-world consequence, and it is not amnesty.
And I think it's rich, Lisa, to expect in any way that if your protest, if your demonstration is, again, sympathizing with terrorism, that you would think you would get off scot-free, that these people who have the luxury of probably never having gone hungry, never having a slap on their wrist, never being bored, never having a phone outside of their hand, etc., actually think they are immune from consequences from their childish and demonic behavior.
But they have been, thus far, right? I mean, these students are saying they're standing against genocide, but they subscribe to the same belief system that led to the Holocaust. And this, we're witnessing a hostile takeover of colleges and universities across the country, but this began and started a long time ago. And it started when these universities replaced academic excellence with social justice warriors, with activism. I mean, you go back to 2017 when Stanford accepted a student for writing Black Lives Matter 100 times on his essay. Or Heritage did a study in 2021 looking at 741 DEI personnel at 65 universities across the country and found that 96% of the tweets from that personnel were anti-Israel. So, of course, what we're seeing needs to be universally condemned. It is wrong. It is evil. These students are wrong. The faculty and the teachers are wrong as well. And so are the administrators. But it's going to take a long time to wrestle back universities and colleges from what we have seen.
And Kayleigh, let's talk about the real world for a second, because while, for example, the 100 professors at Columbia University signed on to this despicable letter by the students that called the Hamas grotesque massacre a military action, sure, maybe they'll absolve these demonstrators of, okay, fine, your suspension won't be on your record. But guess who was in charge of, for example, hiring at one of my prior places of employment? I was. And it matters to me as it does to my prior place of employment. And in the private sector, people who have sympathized with terrorism, people who call for genocide and extermination of a people. So go ahead and enjoy your college record being totally easy breezy. But the reality is the private sector won't be so forgiving.
Yeah, you may have your First Amendment right, but you should be unemployable if you exercise that right irresponsibly and advocate for terrorism, for Hamas, or against Jewish men and women, which is what we are seeing. I could not believe the headline on the New York Post about George Washington University, right there nestled in the heart of D.C. Horror as GWU protester carries sign with Nazi final solution sign calling for the extermination of Jews. So it's anti-Semitism. It's leaning into the Holocaust. There needs to be consequences for that. At George Washington University, they found the guts to change their name from the colonials to the revolutionaries when they incurred criticism. So a little bit of criticism for your mascot, you change that. What about these students who have talked about the final solution? Where's the consequence? We need leadership right now. Right now in Columbia, you mentioned 2 p.m. deadline to leave the encampment. Well, what's going to happen in an hour and 55 minutes?
Exactly.
Are they actually going to take action? What's going to happen in Congress where Mike Johnson has said, let's pull funding from these universities if you allow anti-Semitism? What's going to happen with the Anti-Semitism Awareness Act, which is condemning anti-Semitism? Apparently, there are some Democrats who don't want to vote for it. And what's going to happen in the White House? Our Fox News Digital reached out to the Biden administration and said, will you pull student loan debt forgiveness from someone engaging in anti-Semitism? Guess what we heard? Crickets, crickets. No. Where are you, Joe?
But we know, for example, Harris, Robert Kraft pulled funding from Columbia, right? He said it was despicable, this anti-Semitism. So we've seen at least, again, that private sector accountability. Will we see it from this government? Will we see it from these campuses?
Among Jews, we've seen
anything besides don't.
I mean, what we haven't seen is corporate America, and as a whole, come out and say, and you've got some tweets from Elon Musk, or posts from Elon Musk, which I've picked up just recently, but wholly, you're not seeing any of that from a broader corporate life. I would put it this way: 900 arrests. 900 arrests. That'll give you an idea of how big these crowds are. They didn't say we arrested everybody, and the number was 900. They said of everybody who was out there, we picked up 900. These are campuses that are overrun by these people. And I think it's worth having a conversation about the money that's flowing from people like George Soros and his organizations, and his son Alexander, who was reportedly much more an activist than his dad ever was. I think it's worth having a conversation about the organized uniformity that we see with the camps, with the tents, with the signage, with what you can hear in the background, repeat after me, and then these like scripted chants that they have. I mean, I think we need to start to talk about, because look, summer's right around the corner. Are we going into another summer of love where people get to do what they want and just run away with our justice system in America because they want to propagate hate? I don't even know if they understand what they're saying. Half of them couldn't find Israel on a map if their lives depended on it. And they're getting some of the most expensive education in the world.
Yep.
Which is really sick. So what are they learning? They're learning how to teach us to be numb. They're learning how to teach us as a wider society not to do anything when the children have to shout. Well, you know what? Where are the adults in the room that this White House promised us? Why don't they dispatch some adult-acting surrogates and get the word out there that no one is going to tolerate hate on the streets of America? What happened to red, white, and blue, and not just the green of campaign donations for this particular president? Put some extra schools on your commencement schedule, Mr. President, and walk out like the Speaker of the House did, Mike Johnson, and face some of these people face to face. You'll need every Secret Service member because they call you Genocide Joe, but go anyway. Go anyway and be tough at the top.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.